Thank you for clicking on my video and joining me in this. I hope that you'll stick around, hopefully come back for more discussion and leave a comment and your thoughts below as I explore how to be a better role player and really focusing in on role play as part of the tabletop role-playing game hobby. And I think it's important. Tonight what I wanted to talk about was alignment. And the concept, not so much of alignment, but of morality, as I try to get into a character and try to encourage my players also. As a lot of what I do is trying to encourage my players to think in character and act in character. And of course, actions are always motivated by something, and in many cases motivated by a sense of right or wrong. And that, in essence, well, I just can't imagine getting into a character without understanding, or at least giving some thought to what that character thinks is the right way to behave, the wrong way to behave, how they would react to various dilemmas. And if you didn't have any morals, I'm not sure you could have a dilemma where the character has to pick between two things, both of which are uncomfortable. The discussion tonight is prompted a lot by the recent Black Lodge Games podcast, where they talked about how alignment is absolutely essential and you can't really remove alignment. It made me think of a book that I read this book every year. I got this book a few years ago. I'll show it to you here. It's called Gamemastering. Oh, let me get it on camera. Gamemastering by Brian Jamison. And this is available for free as a PDF. Now, I would normally just direct you to the author's webpage, but I tried to do that, and for whatever reason, I couldn't get to his webpage. But I did confirm, just doing a quick search online with your favorite search engine, whatever it is. If you look for Gamemastering by Brian Jamison, you should still be able to find it as a free download. This is a serious book. This isn't, what is it? It's a good 300 pages. I try to read this every year, and I do this as a game master to try to improve various things. And each time I read it, I try to pick one or two things that I can focus in on to improve either how I prepare for a game or how I handle different things within the game. Now, Brian Jamison had this to say about alignment, and if you'll indulge with me, I'm on page 39 of his book. And I remember reading this and just, I guess the best way to say it is it really shook me up when I read this. And I thought, what was he talking about? But I'll read it to you quickly, and you can tell me whether or not it gels with you. Like, does this strike you as true? It did to me. At first I was like, no, you can't do that. And then after giving it just a little more thought, I thought, no, I think he's right. All right, here's what he says. He's talking about D&D and alignment. The Dungeons & Dragons system has a concept of alignment ranging from good to evil with chaotic, neutral, and lawful characteristics. Unfortunately, the simplistic mechanic of choosing an alignment and being forced to stick with it or be penalized by the game system for diverging takes away from meaningful character development. Think about it. Part of what makes a story compelling is how a character changes. We like to see and play characters that start in one place and end up in another. Rigidly defining alignments such as neutral good are terrible concepts in a game. They act as a powerful force against a character's ability for self-discovery and development. What I'm saying here goes against the D&D gospel, but in my opinion, based on many years of role-playing with a large number of different game systems, the concept of alignment may be the biggest obstacle to role-playing ever introduced. If you want character development in your game, abolish alignment. And I read that and I thought, how in the world could you abolish alignment and still have meaningful moral choices? Choices where a character's really going to have to wrestle with something. So just a few pages later, he talks about what he would suggest. And I think this has some merit. What he talks about is making a rights and wrongs sheet. So each player would sit down with their character, and they would answer a series of questions. And these are all moral questions. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing. He has a big list of them here. I should probably learn how to share a PDF on screen. I'll eventually learn that. He talks about things like this. Stealing. Is it okay to take things? From whom might it be okay? Lying. Is it ever okay to misrepresent the truth? Any skeletons in the closet? Philosophy. Do the ends justify the means? Are we free to choose our actions, or does fate rule our destiny? These are all questions that the player would answer for the character. This character thinks this, and he's not suggesting you go through it all of the big list. And his list is not. I don't believe his list is designed to be comprehensive. There would be others that you could look at. Habits, secrets, class. In other words, if your game system has a class, how does the character fit into that class? What does he think about that? Does he think that's a right or a wrong? I would imagine that you could kind of order that in the traditional D&D sense in terms of chaotic or lawful or what have you. What I like so much about this is that it allows me to help the players get into their characters, because I ask them first, and I've done this off and on. I haven't been good at staying with it, but for those that we've done it with, the characters feel a little better developed, because they have a sense of, I will do this, but I wouldn't do that. I think this is right in this circumstance, but I don't think that it's right in this other circumstance, or those kind of things. And it doesn't have to be completely coherent, I think, but it's really important to have that. If you don't have that, how do you play? The idea there is that, and I think what the author is getting at is that if you want to have that, the role play a character discovering something or having to wrestle with a concept that they originally thought was right or just or okay, but now isn't okay because something has happened in the world and as that has happened, it's shaken their belief or their conviction in that particular principle. So it's just something that I'd like to try. I'm going to try this again, I think. And the game we're playing right now, Weird Frontiers, the alignment system is different. The alignment system is called Walking the Line. And walking the line is you're in between kind of the path towards righteousness, or what they call the path of the damned. So one leaning more, obviously path of the damned, more towards a selfish, evil outcome, path of the righteous, more of a saintly, altruistic, more of a godly type. How do you describe that? Well, the best way is just the path of the righteous. So, and some characters are supposed to walk the line. I guess in traditional sense that would be a neutral character, while others are expected to be more tortured souls, path of the damned, and others are the saints. They're the good folk, good God-fearing folk, the path of the righteous. But on top of that, what I'm thinking of is to ask the players, all right, tell me, when is this right? Or is it ever right? Where do you fall on this? If this is happening around you, how does your character respond to that? Obviously, I have an ulterior motive. As the person running the game, what I really want is I want to be able to set up a situation where the character has to make a decision that is going to potentially cause some friction on these axes of right and wrong. And that's where good role play can happen. Potentially, I'm going to try it out. Like everything here, I'm not... I think, I hope Brian Jamison is still in the hobby. He's just written an absolutely phenomenal book. I can't recommend it enough. It's very good. It really did get me thinking more about how I run games. He's not... he talks a lot about role-playing here. There's a lot about role-playing in it, but it's not... I wouldn't say... He talks about role-play versus an action player. And what I'm trying to do at this channel is explore, can we turn that action player mentality, that board game mentality into deep and immersive role play, being in character as much as possible throughout the game. Really excited to share with you some of this. So I highly recommend it. I went out and bought it because I wanted to support the author, and I think that it's worth it. I do think it's one of those resources that it's not system specific. It's so if you're a D&D player, or if you're playing something else, I still think you can get something from it, and it's well worth it. Tomorrow, I will be in talking about games. Abraham, he's running the second session for this campaign that he started, and I've been thinking about that in conjunction with alignment, because I'm playing a character, and I want to have a better handle on what makes that character, what motivates that character. So what are his goals, and what are his morals? What is he considered to be proper behavior or improper behavior, and how does he respond to different things? I'm thinking about that a lot, because we're going to try again, as we did the first time, to stay in character the whole time, and it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. I have to say that the other player in the game, he really helps me remember that I'm supposed to be in character. And he hasn't been playing. My understanding is he has not been playing in an active game, like a weekly game or something, for a long time. So kudos to him. Looking forward to it. So that's coming out shortly, and then I'll be sure to share my thoughts to see how it works out and what I can learn from it. And then hopefully some of the things that I share you'll find useful if you're interested, like I am, in becoming more of a role player and exploring that, whatever game you happen to play, because that'll be the next. Well, that'll be an interesting one to think about. Is it possible to role play in systems that weren't really designed for role play? Can we alter it enough that it can become? Can we house rule it, I guess would be the term. Can we house rule it so that it is role play focused? I'm excited to try that out, because I have a shelf full of games, and like one of my players said, once you've started role playing and you get the taste of that immersive experience, you really just can't go back. Everything else, it kind of spoils you. It's so good that it's hard to go back. Thank you so much for following along. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. Please leave a comment below. Tell me about your experience with alignment. As I mentioned earlier, I think the underlying idea behind alignment is really important. What are the characters' morals? That's really important. If you really can't take those morals away and then still have good role play opportunities, in my opinion. But is a rigid kind of 9-point grid of alignment, is that good enough? Is that prescriptive enough? I am familiar with the Palladium system too, which I like the Palladium system in the sense that it gives you a list of these are the things that they would consider right and wrong, whether they're selfish or principled or unscrupulous or all of those things. It's a different system. Maybe I can share that with you too. If you're interested in that, I do have those resources. I'm still learning how to share a screen, so we'll see if I can do that, or I can at least show you or read a little bit about it if you're interested. Please let me know in the comments. Excited to hear from you, and thank you again for following along and listening to my video. I appreciate it.